I think we can go. So, all right.
We ready?
We're ready.
Okay.
So this is last one, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the last one with Diane and I sort of leading the charge here a little bit, but I think it's, you know, we've got this well established as an ongoing ministry for First Church, and that's exciting because I think it's really important. This is terribly important to the people who are receiving food and receiving the services that we provide at Coventry as well. So I'm optimistic, hopeful, and excited that and I know that it will continue here at First Church even after we're no longer in Crystal Lake.
How many years? Do you know how many years?
I was trying to think about that, Tyler, and I know it's been at least a dozen since we kicked this off, and we started this off at I think we started this off at just 20,000 meals, a very small undertaking, until we sort of grew to our 100,000 meal target that we've done in more recent years. The exciting thing is this year we will surpass, for First Church, 1 million meals packed since we started this. That's a tremendous milestone and something the church should be proud of, but also something that we know has really benefited the people who've received that food in places like Venezuela and Haiti for many years, Ecuador as well. So I think that's just terribly exciting.
It seems a fitting milestone to hit on the last one that you are going to be participating in. Like, that probably feels a little bit like, obviously it continues, but it does feel like we made it to 1 million.
Yeah, it feels, I think for Diane and I, it feels like a mic drop moment, sort of, but it is, and I think I would be so terribly excited to see, to be around for First Church's $2 million mark and $3 million, and I've had the opportunity over the years to travel quite a bit in business in particular, see some different places, and witness firsthand the impacts of hunger on people, and it's disturbing, it's heartbreaking, it's soul crushing. But I think for me the hardest thing to see is when I see children hungry. And I think to myself, God, this just can't be. This can't be. This can't stand. We can't have this. And so anything that we can do as a church, as a family, as people, as human beings who care, for people that we will never meet, people who do not share our cultural background, history, or norms, people we will never speak to, who will never themselves be able to say thank you. But we know that for one day at least, we've been able to provide sustenance for them and raise them up. That's one of the greatest outreach ministries I've ever been privileged to be a part of.
I think one of the things that I like the most about Summon to Serve is it feels like a uniquely First Church thing that we do. And I think about how, when I think about Summon to Serve, I think a little bit about like how you've led us through that. For all the years that I've been here, you've been sort of like the spokesperson, right?
Right.
But it's not a Kevin and Diane ministry.
It is not.
It's a First Church ministry. And it's exciting to me. I mean, it's bittersweet, right? Like, to see you guys need to step out of the role of sort of being the champion of this ministry in this church, we're sorry for that. But also knowing that you've created sort of a ongoing and lasting thing, and the piece of identity of First Church just makes me glad.
And Tyler, it makes me glad too. And every ministry has to have a handing off to the next group of leaders, and so we're still working on that. But we're very confident that this will continue at First Church because it's become such an integral part of our DNA, and it's meant something to us. And I think there's a little piece of each of us that wants to do something with our hands that truly impacts people's lives, and we know that happens. Sometimes we do things and we just don't ever know whether it's having any impact, and that can sometimes be discouraging, but I can assure everyone that when people receive those meals, true, right in the moment, honest to goodness, real impact is happening right there. And I think that's been an important part of First Church. And I think that's why people gravitate toward participating in this ministry, because it's a chance to put your hands on and make a real difference.
Does this one feel different in any way?
You know, everything feels so different since the end of the pandemic and sort of the return to church and church ministry. It feels a little different insofar as the people that we have worked with over the years, even the people at Kids Around the World, our partner in this endeavor, are changing a little bit too. And so from that perspective, it feels different I think for us because of the change in relationships here at at the local Rockford and Crystal Lake area. What really doesn't feel different, and what is a seemingly ongoing need, is that need for food sustenance and support, around the world. And I've sort of reconciled myself to the idea that it's always going to be needed. And I hope that even though we may not be here in future years for Summon to serve, that we'll continue to find ways as a family and as a congregation to meet those needs and reach out and touch people's lives just like that.
So Summon to Serve is great because anybody can come, any age, they can participate, and we can host the entire congregation to serve at this event.
Absolutely.
There's a smaller piece to Summon to Serve this year that services just the school at Coventry.
Right.
And we're just looking for a smaller team for that. Can you say a little bit about the Back to School Bash and what's that about, and just for the uninitiated?
Sure. We've had a partnership now for a few years with the folks at Coventry, and the Back to School Bash is an opportunity for just basically a small handful of volunteers, a dozen or so, to host a kind of a back to school, I'll call it a party, where we have some games to play, some opportunities for kids and their families to come in and meet some of the staff, to provide them with some supplies that they need. Coventry has a significant portion, I believe about 80% of their students on free or reduced lunch. And so there's a tremendous need on a local basis here for support as well. So we want to make them feel as comfortable as possible, and at the same time let them know that even outside of the school, there are people who love and care about them. And we call those people First Church members, so that we can make sure that not only are they receiving the support and the supplies and the help they might need at a one-day event like this, but they also know that there are people out there who on a day-to-day basis are praying for them, reaching out to help support them, love them and care about them, and that they are not alone in a community that they may not have a lot of support in. So I think that's something that we can do on a local basis. John Wesley said, "The world is my parish." But it's great to see that world includes not only places like Ecuador and Venezuela, but it also includes little Crystal Lake right here in the middle of Illinois, where we can do exactly the same thing and have a tremendous impact on people's lives.
Yeah. And that includes, like, the part 3 of the weekend, Crystal Lake Food Pantry.
Right.
So we're participating in bringing food there as well.
Right. The work with Crystal Lake Food Pantry, again, has been an ongoing ministry of this church, and I just can't emphasize enough the impact that provisions, food, available on a continuous, dependable basis, what impact that has on people's lives. And we know this, even non-professional educators know this just sort of innately. Families, people, children in particular, need that support. They need dependable food sources, healthy food, and that's just something that we can continue to provide, and this congregation can do that. I sometimes think that we don't realize the impact that we're having sometimes as a congregation because we don't meet these people face to face on a day-to-day basis. But it is a tremendous impact.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the things that I am concerned about, the things that I'm worried about, just on a weekly, daily basis. Difficult conversations, or I don't know, climate change, and all these things
Sure.
that you can fill sort of your worry tank up with. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, one thing I never have to worry about is, will there be food on my table?
Right.
What is the life like of somebody who that is their worry, or that is garners their attention? That all those other social, economic, political issues aside, what if my main concern is, where's the food coming from?
There are more than enough issues and travails in this world to worry about on a day-to-day basis, but I've told this story before. I always remember our friends from Kids Around the World shared a story when they were delivering food in Haiti, and they had to drive through a small village on their way to an orphanage to drop the food off. And as they drove the truck by, children came out of the huts or lean-tos and were chasing the food truck as it pulled into the gates of the orphanage that then closed behind the truck with the children still outside. And the gentleman who was running the orphanage turned to the representative from Kids Around the World and said, "Today, those children on the outside wish they were orphans." We can't have that. We can't have that.
Okay, Kevin. You have anything else for us?
No, I just want to say it's been a blessing for us to be a part of this ministry as well as a part of this church. And we're moving, but we're not moving hundreds and thousands of miles away. So we're going to be back from time to time. But it's been such a blessing for our family to be a part of this. And I know that the members of this church have deep and abiding heart for lifting people up. I've seen it not only in Summon to Serve, but in all sorts of ministries, in all sorts of forms, in group settings and one-on-one settings. And I just want to encourage us all to continue to do that because the impact that it's having is significant. We are preaching the gospel with our actions rather than our words, and people are hearing that. So let's keep that going because the need is there, will continue to be there, and there are so many more that need us to reach forward and touch their lives.
All right. My friend, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was really good. It's hard to believe this will be our last interview together. I feel like we do this once a year.
Yeah.